Okay, so I'm a little late. It's almost 7. Last night was one of the worst nights I think I have ever experienced. I mean, I've had some pretty bad ones, but last night was fucked, man. And so I just woke up. Well, I, my sleep was jacked all fucking night. I was just jacked. And it was weird because like, there's lots of level of shit going on. There's lots of shit. Like, there's disruption in our frequency. Like, like there's other things disrupting, like other energies and stuff like that are around. Like, I don't know, I'm just in a portal spot or what, like I've said, but fuck, dude. Like, god damn. Just fucking constantly just other beings and shit around. And you know, other beings are all like, don't categorize them as ghosts and aliens and all this stuff. They're just other beings. Just like, you know, spiders are other beings, octopus are other beings, birds are other beings, trees are other beings, the sand is other beings. Like, everything is other life forms. And so these life forms that are like hanging around me right now or something, besides like my guides and stuff, I can, they're darker, like these big dark ones. You know, some of the ones that have been around, you know, that I complained about before, like the one that would jolt at me at the end of the hall and stuff, I haven't seen them. And then also the ones that would gather around the bathroom when I would go in the bathroom, I haven't seen them. But it's like my bedroom. It's like, oh, and something that was interesting to me last night. So, because there's all these spirits and shit just wandering around and shit. So and it's like, if you're of a certain vibration or something, it's like they hang on or something, like they want to communicate. That's why I say don't just communicate with all of them. You don't want to be in, you know, like that one lady I talked about who started communicating with that one. And then they started telling her, you know, lies. They started telling her lies and she was believing it. Don't just communicate with them all. Don't think like, oh, now there's a spirit there. No, go through telepathy. You go through telepathy to communicate. You direct your mind towards who you want to communicate. Don't just open it up to whoever wants access. And so, you know, it's a part of your development, through part of your discernment, part of your communication, which I did just see a girl who said, oh my gosh, your intuition is your mind trying to speak to you. And she had like a bunch of stitches. The last one was a girl who, there's a lot of people who, like, that I have followed that are just, don't have a clue what's going on. But everybody has got their own space at this. Like, they're all coming at it from different perspectives. So yeah, not everybody's going to see it the way I see it. Now, I've been looking for a long time. I've been paying attention. I haven't been, you know, turning a blind eye. So anyways, as my advice, don't just start fucking talking to any old one that starts talking. But the mirror thing, you know, because I have a lot of mirrors, and so I had before had thought of it as like, oh man, like when the one girl was here staying, she wanted the mirrors covered. She wanted them covered. I had to cover all the mirrors in there. They're freaking her out. But she was very tuned into the energy, and don't forget, she had a lot of dark attachments. I was telling her, but dark attachments to somebody who's troubled feel good. They're your comfort zone. They're the ones who are there for you. And, you know, they're not demons and devils. They're an energy that was there for you at a time that you needed it, but you don't need it forever. And that it will grow. It feeds your emotions to grow its own energy. So it's parasitic. So it controls your mind, these parasites and shit that they talk so much about, to me, is that is, the parasitic entity that you need to worry about is your own attachments, the ones that are in there feeding your mind full of shit. And you got to decipher through it. Where'd that come from? Who's that? What's that? It's not all just your insight. It's not all just good stuff. That's why you got to use your discernment. You got to listen to what's being said. You got to start recognizing the voices saying it. You got to recognize who you're communicating with. It's a development in your telepathy. And it's a real thing. Like, like those ones that I was talking to from when I was a kid, like I can recognize their energy. You recognize the energy. Like I said, I don't need a name or something. They don't need to check in. Hey, Bob here with your daily check-in. No, it's not like that. They just talk. They'll just tell you something. They'll just throw a picture in your head. It's a different way of communicating. It's not like how we sit here and talk and all this. Is different. But anyways, when you're worrying about the insight, just, there's just, this is going to unfold for people, how it's going to unfold, how they're going to start figuring out how they have to master the mind. And there's a lot going on in there, and you don't have control over it all unless you pay attention. And then even when you do, it is an active duty to begin to start and try and control it. So you can imagine how out of control it is if you don't have any control whatsoever. And so anyways, back to the lesson. So it was like every motherfucking hour I was getting woke up. And it started, like, I was so, I was feeling so out of it yesterday. All the days are blending in. So when I say that, I can't even say for sure that it was yesterday. It's just this long fluid of feeling ungripped, unattached to this reality, feeling like I'm an observer in a reality trying to play a part. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very strange. Everything is disjointed. Everything's out of sync. I feel like I'm moving different than other people. I feel like I'm talking. It's just weird, man. It's so fucking weird. But anyways, so the mirror thing. So I was, feeling really disrupted. Nobody was choking me out, luckily, this night. But it was just this constant motherfucking disruption every fucking motherfucking time. And this is what was done before on the really bad nights. It's like as soon as I doze off, as soon as you get into that deep relaxation, boom, and then you're jolted awake. Over and over all motherfucking night. It was like, oh my fucking God, this is hellacious. What in the holy hell? I was getting so upset with Stella too. It was like she kept waking me up and crying. She had to go out 2 times. And I didn't go out and follow her. She did take off fast going out towards to go potty. So it's like, what the hell's going on with her stomach? Last night all I did was feed her some rice and chicken. Like, what in the holy hell is happening? And so the mirror thing. Okay, so in my bedroom I have some mirrors. And, I'm always, like, there's a thing about feng shui, and I don't know everything about it. There's just things, like I've said this whole motherfucking time. There was just things I would find myself doing naturally that I would have no idea anything about it until I would start getting information about it. And then I would start being like, oh, so I'm just doing this naturally. It's not like I didn't know about it. So that's where we have imprint in our soul. Like there's certain things that we know that are inside of us. And as what, and I was talking about this, when I started talking about different movements and stuff, the chi and this Kwang Gong or something like that, like these different things. I would just get up and I would start doing these things. I would just follow what my body was telling me to do. I would just start doing these things. And then things would start coming on, and it'd be like, oh, this is a real thing. This is something like people are doing. There's all sorts of things that they have shown me all throughout this. And so the mirror things, I always have had, mirrors, and I've always known about the moving them for the energy to move around. And so when I walked in my room, I was like in the middle of the fucking night one of the times. And so I'm walking in and I got a flash in one of the mirrors as I walked past it. And when I walked past it and it flashed, what they showed me was that you sit the mirrors up where you trap them. So I'm going to probably move the mirrors around or something in my room and see. But it is where all they can do, because like I told you before, when there's something about where they want to be seen, it comes through like a reflection. It comes through. Those are like portals. So the reflection thing has an energy for them to move through. But so then if you have them all just where they're like a fun house, then they, it's like they're trapped. They can't just move through the mirror and go out. It's like it's just a re-reflection or something. I'm not sure, but anyways, that's what they showed me last night. So I'm going to rearrange some mirrors in my room and see if that makes a difference. There's only 2 in there, too. A really old-fashioned little one on my thing. This is where I caught the reflection. And then a taller one to stand, you know, when you look at your clothes. And the other one's just decoration. It's just on my perfume thing. You know, my little perfume bottles. I always liked old perfume bottles. But, so let me think, because I'm so out of it. I'm so fucking out of it. Okay, one of the things that I think is, you know, kind of an obvious thing that we've got the energy going in the other direction is that fucking Anthony Oliver song. Oh my gosh. When it first was popping up on my feed, you know, I was looking for something else. I wasn't paying any attention. I just kept seeing this song pop up and all these people kept sharing it and sharing it. I was like, okay, well, there's a new popular song, obviously. So everybody really likes it. And, but I hadn't listened to it. Then yesterday when I went on and it was popping up, but it was all these reaction videos and then people adding on to the song and stuff. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. This is crazy. So I was listening to the song and I was like, oh my gosh, it makes you start crying and you feel the emotion and stuff because he is pulling from all of our souls. This guy is, it's like he's working through his soul and has got a hold of all of our souls. Like he's working on a different energy. This is the kind of thing that we're going to start seeing more of, is this change in energy. Just like he had a huge meeting, they were offering him like an $8 million contract and shit, and he turned it down. He was like, no, thank you. You know, that is going to be where we're going to see the changes occurring. That's why when you see these people desperate to be famous, desperate to get money, desperate, that's a part of the old world. It's not the new one we're headed to. The new one we're headed to is going to be of integrity and of, you know, what is your money going to buy me? Because my freedom matters more. So what does your money have to offer? It's control. And they just want to profit off of somebody while they're doing good and then disregard them. So people are just like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking hero. He's not a sellout at all. He's just like, you know, he is like what I've been saying and saying. There's going to be people that are unexpected. They're going to just pop up and they are going to be leading people, but not leading them in the way that you think, leading them in this spiritual integrity in a different, is turning something on in people that was turned off by the Kardashians. It was a controlled turn this off, turn this on. And so this is what is turning on, is this change, this other, you know, like there's certain things, like I've said, that I just have always known in my heart. Like it wasn't part of my lessons. My lessons were different, you know, but there's nothing wrong with your lessons being these. I mean, that's what the people are here for. So don't feel like, well, I'm not good enough. And in this world of, you know, these super spirits, I'm not spiritual enough. Don't feel like that. You're on your own journey. And, you know, and if you came here to learn a bunch of stuff and there's all of a sudden all these spiritual people popping up all around you, you know, you wanted to come and learn from, you know, the best. The people who have focused on spirituality through life after life after life. that there's something different. And so anyways, but we're going to see a lot of that, a lot of this other energy coming forward. Yeah, $8 million contract, $30 million. No, thank you. No. And he has a YouTube channel and stuff. And he just, I started following him. I was just like, man, this guy is fucking cool. And he's not up his own ass about the song even. And there's so many guys adding on to the song, so many cool fucking add-ons to it. It's like so much emotion out there of what people are going through and them expressing it. It's, oh, fuck, it's powerful as fuck. It's gonna make me start crying just picturing it in my head. I was already crying this morning after I put on my mascara. It's like, stop, hurry up, just go record before you just get all emotional and have to start over again. It's already late. So I had to stop going and looking at the videos. But it is like the anthem for our movement is created. It's like it's moving us forward, that energy. This energy is going to keep pulling us forward. It is like, it's like we're pushing on the door, like I said, pushing on the door to push through. The darkness is all right there. And then you have these ones. And it's like, okay, imagine the door is right there. You know how those doors push, and they've got that suction. And it's like right as it's coming, there's ones that are just going through, but they're the ones that are going through. Like they are going through with determination. They know who they are. They aren't going to take $8 million for their soul. It is, no, thank you, please. I've seen what you guys are up to. There's a lot of people who took, money for their soul a long while back and had no idea what was happening. And they had to go through the experience to catch on. And then them going through the experience and catching on is what gave us all the sight so we could see. So that they came out and said, hey, this is some bullshit. And, then they'd get killed and, or they'd kill their friends or they'd kill their partners or whatever. These people are evil motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck. All they want is fucking control. And there's so much more horrible stuff coming out with Hawaii, and they're burning all this shit down. And then when you see the Canada shit happening, and it's like it's being ignored. Like, fuck, the Canada fire is fucked, man. It's horrible. And so today, now, after I had said that yesterday, like today you can see it. Well, you can't tell. Looks like blue skies still. It's orange. It's not, though. It's aluminum orange, though. It's not the other orange. Like when the smoke comes in. But we got a warning today that we're going to be under smoke advisory, air quality. And somebody was saying something about pay attention to how much of us are under air quality. And I think it's on the dew can. The dew can is speaking to us. It's telling us, they're speaking to us in code. As the Baja Blast, they're being blasted right now. And then it just cracks me up too how this is Hillary. It's just the humor in this. Oh yeah, this was a funny one too. It's not funny, but you gotta laugh at this shit. Like, if you don't laugh, then you're gonna just freak out and cry. So this woman, she's in Southern California. She may be in San Diego or something. She's in Southern California, and so they're getting their alerts or whatever. They send their alerts to who they want. I mean, it is, when you hear the shit in Hawaii, it's fucking fucked. Like not sending alerts. Then when people were evacuating on their own, sending them back into the... It's fucking sick, man. It's such blatant murder of a certain group of people. It's fucking... Oh, God, it makes me sick. I can't even... These fucking murderers are so fucked. Are so fucked. Anyways, it's funny because... So they got some sort of thing that said it's tarantula season. And so to be expecting more like a Sharknado with the tarantulas. So you're going to get a hurricane of tarantulas. So I don't know what they got going. Like tarantulas burrow like underground. Like the tarantulas aren't going to be all sitting out on top of the grass. When I was out in my yard, when I was a kid we'd have to go out and pick weeds. That was our thing until we would sneak off and go play with our friends. It was such bullshit. That was so many times when I was a little kid. I had such an attitude, and I was always like, You didn't have us because you loved us. You had us because you just wanted slaves. I said that all the time. And they just put us to work. Get up and go to work. Get out there. I was always constantly forced into working too. Like ever since I was a little kid. Like, we got one here, so we're gonna work. We're gonna work this one. It's like, fuck. Like, I was having a babysit for all their friends. I had to get a paper route. I wouldn't fucking sit 10 years old and, hey, I think I'm gonna go out and throw papers. No, my dad was always coming up with things that I needed to do. Like, I had to get a driver's license when I was 15 so I could go out and run my mom's errands for her. Then when I was 16, he made me go and work in his office. And the pay was $1.65 an hour. And then it went up. There was a big jump that went up to like $2.10 an hour. That was a big jump in the minimum wage. But, you know, that's how much it used to be. They got paid. Like, when I went and babysat, I got paid a quarter for an hour of hell. And, you know, when kids are babysitting for kids, they don't always behave. The kids are naughty. They don't just listen and stuff. But anyways, that was my job. I was there to work for that family. And so, let me think, where was I? I just go off on these fucking things. So, I gotta think back what I was talking about. Okay, so I had to work. I had to go do the paper. I don't remember, but I'll tell you one thing that you got to know is, so everybody's got to do their detox. You got to get, I'm going to have to order some more zeolite, and it's probably too late. But I did the bath thing. So everything that you can do, like the one guy who is in Hawaii who is saying it, is like a policeman or something. He's somebody who's been out seeing the damage on the ground, and he had some sort of meeting and it got videotaped. And he said that they've filled us full of metal. Like, they've filled us our whole lives full of metal. And I've got it in my teeth. We've got it all over inside of us. And I know it's a serious thing because I have kids who have metal allergies. And like my one daughter, she can't have any metal, like a bra strap. It will go through the bra, the stuff, and the metal will start eating her skin. So, you know, I don't know if that means she's also got autoimmune, which autoimmune is heavy in my family. So many of the women have autoimmune, which could be all heavy metal allergies, which probably. So, you know, I don't know if that means that they've got more metals inside of them that are not processing through them, so their body holds on to them, which becomes autoimmune, or if they reject it and they don't have any, and the smallest amount makes them sick. Like, I don't know. This is something like, you know, we can't run down and get a blood test and find out. This is our hidden truth. The things that are really going to hurt us are the things that they are in control of. And see why they don't need the nukes, because they're microwaving us. They put the metal inside of us so that they can microwave us. So the guy said, it's horrific. They were cooking people from the inside. That's why the cars are all, and that's why doors aren't open on cars and stuff. It was like an instantaneous melt. That's why I kept saying this is like Nagasaki or Okinawa, Hiroshima or Nagasaki. We went in and just cooked it. They just fried those places. And that's what they're doing. Only they're advancing in their weaponry because, yeah, there's certain ones that they can't use, that the other beings won't allow it. And all of this stuff, what we consider to be murder and stuff, you got to remember, on the higher levels. So not on the level where we're at. We're down in the fucking ant mound. We're down in that. We're in it. When we're out of it, when we're outside of it, you know, up in the tree, then we know what goes on in the ant mound doesn't fucking matter. You're not really dying. The thing that is hard to those of us in the ant mound, is that the people who are in the ant mound with us matter. even if this is the hard part when people pass, is because the people who you matter to don't give you the time because they're distracted. So it's part of their lessons is to prioritize love over other things. Like there's lessons and all this shit happening. And that's what the soul craves, is the lesson. The soul knows it's not really leaving. The soul knows it's not really going away and never going to be around the person again. So, you know, when you think about, well, why wouldn't these higher beings, you know, if they care about us, why wouldn't they stop this? Why do they let this happen? They can't. You can't. This is what I'm talking about. You can't just go in and stop something. Like they can't go, oh, well, that's going to be some hard stuff. We got to stop that. No, they would be interfering with our life paths. We've made these decisions to be here. We have our own life goals, our own life journey. We have our own life plan, our own flight plan, what we're here to learn, who we're here to interact with, what we're here to observe, understand, to grow. And so they can't just come in and go, oh, well, that was going to be hard, so we're just going to swoop in and save you. No, we don't need saviors. We don't want saviors. We want to save ourselves. We want to be our own savior. And so don't get caught up in that part. Well, you know, when bad things are happening, bad things are supposed to happen. Bad things bring good things. We can't just be in white spinning around. We've got to have the yin and the yang. You've got to have light and dark. They feed each other. They balance each other. They push each other. That is the change. That is the growth. That is how things happen. So don't get stuck on, well, bad things. You know, that was something that when I was a kid, you know, they kept trying to tell me who God was. And I kept being, no, that's not true. That's not true. And, you know, there was always, I was in so many conversations when I was younger. Yeah, well, if there was a God, why would God let bad things happen? It's like, what are you trying to put it off on God for? Like, why do you think that, you know, is like a place where souls come and the soul makes the decision? The soul decides who it listens to. The soul decides where it's led. The soul is the one who has the consequences. It's the soul's lessons. It is your lesson plan, no matter which direction it goes. And some are negative, some are hard lessons, but that is your choice. You came in to learn the lessons through the way that you're learning them. And so, yeah, there's nobody that's going to come in and say, oh, things are too horrible, we got to stop it now. No, the soul, there would be outrage in the heavens above. You know, all these souls would be like, you know, it would be outrage. Like a soul can handle it. Like a soul, your avatar may not remember, but your soul's going to remind it. Your souls and your avatar are trying to come into union. They're trying to start a relationship. So it's part of the process. It's part of the, you know, like I've called it, the come to Jesus moments, you know, and it's hitting, it's striking. In Washington State, there's, I mean, we have multiple fires, but over by Spokane, a big old one broke out in 2 different places. Cheney and Medical Lake are not next to each other. Cheney is out where, kind of like how I live, rural to Spokane. And it is where, like, the people who don't have a lot of money will move out there and still drive into Spokane to work. But a lot of people who want to just go off grid, just be out from town, go out there and have some acreage, grow their own shit. So they burned that fucking place down. And Medical Lake was the outskirt going the other direction. I used to go to Medical Lake to work. And that is where the, it was like a lake where some people moved out from town and built all around this lake, and it kind of built up as like a little town. But it had, from way back, it has the asylum, and the place that I worked, it was called Lakeland. Like, you could look it up for people who are interested in these old buildings and shit and our hidden shit. And I knew a little bit of the history when I worked there, but I didn't know it all. But there was some weird fucking buildings, that's for sure. Definitely all these places, you know, we're doing lobotomies and all the fucking testing on these people. you know, I mean, that's just been testing centers. And then once it started changing, but the Lakeland was all disabled people, you know, like adults that are still in cribs and shit, like severely disabled. And I worked on this unit where it was double or dual diagnoses. So they were disabled and they had mental illness, because I preferred mental illness. Anyways, and it was a state-run facility, but it had all these huge buildings. So it's in Medical Lake. So Medical Lake has got the asylum, and supposedly it's where, because Spokane was being overrun by homeless, and they had started homeless encampment because people did not, Spokane is not a rich town. It's very, very poor. And it was already jacked up. It had already been, the people had already been priced out. There were so many people moving there. So the economy easily just shoved the poor people into tent cities. So there was huge tent cities. I think it was even called Hope City. I think they even named it. And there was tent cities. Well, then the old newscaster who became the mayor, it's so fucking, and when you go back into her story, and she was fucking raped by the sunshine, by the, she used to be called the news sunshine girl or something, Nadine Woodward. And she, but the South Hill rapist, what was his name? He was a big case, of course, rich family, and he was out raping all these women and, up on the South Hill too, where the rich people were, and he was going out and raping all these women, and she was one of them who was. And so, and she tried to live for a long time without people knowing, but something came out and then everybody started knowing. And so anyways, but now she's the mayor. It's like, and she did not like homeless people. So yeah, man, there's a funneling system out there. There's a funneling system. Things happen and they find people, and then certain personalities, they push into certain positions. And, you know, maybe it's one that it doesn't care much about people and will do what they're told, is mostly. So, they moved, the tent city had to be moved, and they moved it out to Medical Lake, from what I understand. They moved all those, and now they're burning down all those people, and there was a whole bunch of people, because then every developer, once there's people who have moved out to a place, so developers had come in and they were just putting in neighborhoods like how they are right here by me, just put in a shit ton of neighborhoods. I knew a nurse who bought one of the new houses. I'd been over to her house before. One of the other nurses who worked there, she moved out there and bought one of those expensive, nice houses. So they burned all that down. I don't know how bad it is, but they evacuated. And then in Cheney, they evacuated. And my daughter said that somebody from her work was evacuated, and one of their clients lost their house. And so I don't know what the damage is going to be now. And I'm sure the fires are still going. I mean, their intention is just to spread it and spread it. And it's scary, too, because, you know, these fires are coming up on people. Like my mom, like where she's at, like they're constantly doing fires out there in 9 Mile at Long Lake. And all these places where they can isolate, these places that are hard to evacuate out of, they're fucking striking these places. So anyways, then the power's going to go out. Like, there's going to be this pitch black. They're going to black us out. They're going to get us so on tense, so nervous, such a wreck. Like, what's happening everywhere? What's happening to people's families? What's happening? You know, and then it's going to go lights out. And then it's going to be you and whoever's talking to you. These are the come to Jesus moments. Remember, everything that is going on is your come to Jesus moment. It's your time and place to introduce yourself to your soul and start living a different way. Start living from within, not outside of yourself. Always trying to please others and stuff. It's a big shift. And it is an uncomfortable shift, you know. Most of us are manipulators. We play games. We are insecure. Like, we've all got very toxic behaviors, very toxic self-esteem. So it is, you know, it's a challenge. You know, setting boundaries for yourself. The first is hard as fuck. You will feel horrible. You'll feel guilty. You'll feel like you're wrong. You'll feel like you're, but you have to get comfortable with your boundaries. You have to know what feels right to you, and you have to go out there and be vulnerable and say, hey, no, I don't like that. I'm not going to be treated that way. And if it is, you have a partner who loses their fucking mind all the time and is walking around screaming and yelling, and you're walking on eggshells, that's a boundary. That's something that you have every right to say, I can't live like this. And everybody has to accept the fact. You can set boundaries, that there can be a partner or someone else that says, I can't live like that. That's the faith part. That's the part where I got to live where I feel peace. I got to feel good. And I got to know that, this toxic way that we're living is a choice. And I choose to live differently. And I'm going to expect that somebody who is just as good as you, probably way better, is going to come into my life who has that same standard, because I'm going to set it and I'm going to stay with it. And I'm going to start finding other people who believe that way too. That you can't just go into the home because you're having a bad day, you're having a mood, and disrupt the environment. It's up to you to control yourself, your mind, your storm. You are your problem, not everybody else's. You're push people away if you're constantly in crisis. You're constantly, like when I'm watching these old movies, it's like, oh my God. This whining and crying about everything, and everything is a crisis, and I can't do it. I can't help myself. I can't do anything. Oh, Daddy, please tell me what to do. It's like, oh my God, people. You don't need anybody to tell you what to do, because it's already inside you. You're on a flight plan. When you let go of the fucking wheel, it's on autopilot. It's going to keep going. There's nothing you need to do. It is, you're the co-pilot. The pilot is set the plan. It's already going. You're just sitting in an observation. You're just watching out the windows, seeing if anything goes wrong. Paying attention when things go wrong. Well, what is the solution? How do I fix it? What do I need to see? What do I need to do? So it's not. There isn't something that you need to wake up and do. What you need to wake up and do is to appreciate yourself, to surrender, to yourself. It's crazy. It's like surrendering to yourself. But people are so cut off from themselves. It is like they don't realize that their self is inside of them. They're so sure that the avatar is what is living. The avatar is not what's living. The avatar is, when we're watching a movie, that movie is alive to us. We're watching that movie. That movie is real. It's really happening at that time. When we turn the movie off, it's not there. It's the same thing. The avatar does not go on. The energy behind, the energy that has the avatar moving, that goes on. So it's the energy keeps going, but the energy is what is you. It is what is your personality. To think that it's the avatar that is any of those things is all an illusion. You do not need your brain. You do not need your heart. You do not need your lungs. You do not need any of these things to be alive. You need those things to experience this density, this world that is created for you to come in and learn. So it is, none of those things are real. You don't need to breathe, and your mind, all of your thoughts are coming from within you. They're coming from your soul. They're not coming from your mind. Your mind is a processor. And like I said, I knew there was something with the melanin. I knew it was some sort of activator or something. It was something like the iron in the blood is some kind of communication tool with the soul. It is something that is, that's why they're trying to breed it out. They're trying to, destroy our pineal gland. They are trying to destroy people's hair. Like, people do that. And your hair is your antenna. Like, it's an important part. And so, and the longer or the bigger You know, like some people's hair grows longer out. That's a fucking nice ass antenna. Don't fucking, don't fucking try and, let it go. Let it be. That is your goddamn antenna. Be proud of it. And, but as they've got all these chemicals and shit. And besides the frying your hair out, then you just have open follicles, open shit right close to your brain. And they know what things to put out there to penetrate through. They spray them in the goddamn air. And so yesterday over by San Diego and Southern California too, there was footage, a giant trail that went, like a new cloud formation that they made. Just one that was like miles long. So they're preparing for this to really impact. They're setting it up. Who knows? They're sprayed up the tarantulas. Like, just go up there and let's just spray a bunch of tarantulas. So when it goes in, we got to make sure these people are terrified, And tarantulas don't want to bite you. Tarantulas they're kind of a gentle spider, and they are easy to break. That's another thing too. Like if they are getting thrown around in the wind, their legs and shit would break off. It would be, because I remember when we found this one in our yard, and my mom was like, "Oh, you gotta be so careful. If you didn't drop it hard, its legs can, they're more fragile than what you would consider. I think a smaller spider is a little more sturdy than those big ones like that." So anyways, I would say if they're gonna, do a tarantula NATO thing, that it would be artificial ones. It would be created ones, because they were way too fragile. And they burrow down in the ground. So they go down in holes in the ground. So, if a storm's coming, they would be down in the ground. Well, what are they going to do? Rip up chunks of the ground? They're going to suck them up like a vacuum? Like, I don't know. I just think some of this shit is so absurd. It is surprising that they haven't just started throwing sharks at people and stuff. It was coming from the sky. There was a big whale that fell out of the sky somewhere strange. I can't remember where it was now, and all the people are out there like, what the hell? Where'd the whale come from? Just flew out of the sky. So, and one of the captured killer whales, now that it's died, and so of course it's coming out, just the horrible treatment. How these people just don't care about anything but making money. It's so disgusting. It's so gross. Ugh. It's all, all of it, all of it. It's all, and the people who were just so into that superficial, artificial part, they're going to feel shame. They're going to feel bad about themselves when they see this superficial, artificial side of themselves. Because it's one thing when you think that's what the world is, but it's another thing when you realize that the world wasn't that, but you were choosing that, and it was making the world that. Because like I said, like right now, things could be very different, but we're going to keep going through this horrible trauma because there's so many people who keep on holding on and going. Like, listen to that singer guy was like, fuck, the Bluegrass Festival is in a couple of weeks here. And I was like, oh, I should go. And I was like, oh, man. But there's so much shit going on with concerts. I don't think a bluegrass concert, but you don't know where they're going to hit. And they, and there's something about the gathering and the energy. And there's a whole bunch more too coming out about the Alabama battle. Like there was a whole ceremony that morning where they were calling in ancestors. And so then they're saying, well, that probably upset the ancestors that they were calling in, the ones giving gratitude, like to the slaves or whatever, for what they went through. And then they said that they probably pissed off, the other ones. I don't know, but there's a lot more of the footage and shit where you can see there's there's jumping going on. Like you can see the energy outside jump into people and see them go crazy, and then it jumps out and jumps on somebody else, see them go crazy. Like you can see this different footage, but you know, you got to be looking at it in a certain way. Like some of these people, they don't, like, oh, they just see that as like, oh, that's just a shadow or something. They don't see what's really going on because they're not tuned into that side of the life. So they don't see, but you know, those energies are around us, and you know, they can jump in you and take over. They can get you. So many people are like, you know, I was just doing stuff. I don't even know why. I don't know how. It was like I blacked out. It was like I don't even know what's going on because you're taking over. And so, and it's not by demons. It's by other spirits that, you know, if you don't know, you don't understand, you know, you're not telling them, they're knocking on the door and you're not saying, get the fuck out. You've got no business here. And so, in a thing where you are feeding that energy, you're pulling that energy into you. But so with these concerts, there's a lot of shit going on at concerts where I'm seeing people saying, you got to stop going to the concerts. People got to stop going. There's a lot of stuff, and they're doing things to affect, like they're trying to create zombies or something. Like they're really banking on this stuff that they've put inside of us. And I'm not going to just say just from these, like so many people. No, they've been giving us these our whole lives. This has been a long plan. They've been doing this shit for a long ass time. And it's way more newer and blatant than what we would even think. And so we're full of this stuff. They put it in our foods. They spray it in our air. They are doing it all on purpose. So we have all of this shit inside of us. We've got aluminum, barium, all this shit inside of us that, you know, in a microwave wouldn't be good. And so, you know, that's what they are doing. That's even heating it up. When you can feel inside your body is just getting hotter and hotter. Like, what are those things called? Like during menopause, if you have a hot flash, it's like you heat up from the inside. And it's weird. It's like you heat up from the inside and it comes from the inside out. So it's kind of like the same kind of thing with the what they're doing with this microwave frequency is like you have it inside of you, then they turn it up and then it heats you up from the inside, and in some cases, you know, just cooks the people. It's raising the vibration, it's changing it. The avatar can't be in it, the avatar is not it's not in its homeostasis, it's not in a conducive environment. It has to have this the other frequency in order to have the matter, but that is what they're messing with it. They're messing with frequencies and chemicals. They're experimenting. They have like a little bit of knowledge, and then they turn it into power. And so it's always about trying to have power and control over us, create fear. And supposedly they're going into their plan is. Their plan, of course, would be to lock us down, of course. But there's officials, I guess, saying that there's new COVID. Of course there is. And we're going to have to lock people down. And so, you know, we're going to be expected to be back there. Like, I need to start getting wood again. Fuck. Getting ready for what's to come this winter. But so they've got way more people homeless. And they're going to do an Arctic freeze. I think they have Summer Blast is one of the Mountain Dews too. Voltage, like all of these things. But the pitch black, I think they're gonna pitch black us. They've already done their, so, so they got all these people who are gonna be so many more going homeless. And there's such an assault, like people in Southern California are saying, like, this hurricane is going to kill a bunch of homeless people. There's so many homeless people. So, you know, that's who they want to get you to be unstable and get you to be homeless so that they can kill you. Like, they are creating this. It isn't like they decide who is a throwaway. And then, but they force it, like they're trying to create the throwaways. Just like before, I said they were trying to create criminals, make people poor and desperate. And so it is that, they're always creating darkness, but that is the soul's point of being able to overcome the darkness, to see the darkness, to recognize the light. Like, but it's each soul who has to start having their inner vision. So you have to start seeing it for yourself. Nobody can force you to see it. Nobody can make you see what you can't see. God, my stomach is growling like crazy. Nobody can make you see what you can't see. You have to see it for yourself. You have to open your mind to see the truth. And the truth is coming out all around us. Like, so much truth just keeps coming. I just think that's so interesting how now they're going to charge him with the RICO. It's like, I just feel like there's going to be so many people going in to see, like, what the hell is that? And so that it's a familiar term, because it's going to be one you're going to hear a lot. It's going to be coming up, and you're going to be like, oh, just like how they had all these ways of getting us to start looking into our rights and what each amendment was, like all that stuff. It's the same kind of thing. They're getting people to think for themselves, to look into things, to pay attention. And so, but it is like so long and drawn out. It's so intense. And especially when they're, hitting us with storm after storm. And so, they're going to make so many more people homeless, and they're going to come in right away with their hard-ass storms. They're going to, travel is going to become way worse. They're going to be more control, which to me, it's scary as fuck. I can't believe there's people just out there flying around. Like, every fucking plane that comes over here, I was like, it sounds like it's going to just fall out of the sky any second. And to me, and the directions they're going, like, okay, so there was no planes ever. Then all of a sudden they're going this direction over me. Now they're way over here going, like, things are, poles are shift, things are moving, things are, it's like if you imagine that we're in that hamster habitat, and everything around us is shaking up. The world is shaking, it's changing, it's moving. And so it's shaking our little habitat, it's falling apart. But everything that is moving around us. And so, like I keep saying, like, when I think about where I'm at, I don't go into the map and think where I'm at. I think about something else. There's something else about all of our places where we're at. And that video that I shared of the woman who was in the coma, I think that was so interesting, because to me, it goes right with what all the stuff that I'm constantly saying. She knew exactly what was going on. Even though her body was laying there in the hospital having its own thing, she was out there going, to figure out what was going on. And that is, for one of the things, is when I say that when you are have an accident or something like that, it's for that. It's to have a meeting with you. It's to get you to realize. Like, I was being shown things in the hospital all the time. Like, one of the things that I was being shown was like these cards shuffling, and the shuffle. That's how close everything is. That's how everything is, this shuffle. It's all like like when I say, like, the domino goes and it creates the whole picture. It's like one domino goes, which shows the other, and it's always creating this giant picture. But you got to think about the energy and the domino going down in your own life, and that is creating a picture. It's creating a symphony. It's creating your experience, the experience for Kelly or whatever. And when you are your own superhero, when you're your own savior, then you have the hero's journey story. You've saved yourself. You've pulled yourselves out of the depth of hell. You pulled yourself out of pain and suffering, and you brought yourself to where you wanted to be. You didn't want to be held back where they told you that you were stuck. You could never get out of there. You're a narcissist. You're a bipolar. You're a schizophrenic. You're one of those autistic. They create autism, and then they say, well, we just ought to put them out of their misery. Oh, okay. But all of those different things. I mean, even Jenny Jenny McCarthy, her son, was autistic. She came out and spoke out about, it was that. And so, when she was doing that, people were telling her she was crazy and all of that stuff. And she kept working with her son. She didn't give up on him. She kept working with him. And he's very productive and stuff from what she's saying. He's not just stuck in being nonverbal and whatever, all the things, like all of the different things. To me, if you've got a child that is being really affected by the metals and the poisons and stuff, like the detoxing, just keep detoxing, because they're in there. They're trapped in there. It is just like that woman in the coma. Her body is doing that one thing. She's out there going around like, what's going on? Give me God. I need to talk to God. I need to find out what's happening. Why am I, And I just love that. They take her into that place and it's just a giant mirror. So I keep saying, that is who you have to face. That's the God that you fear, is you. You don't want to face yourself. Like, everybody, like, look at how much people distract from facing themselves. They don't want to face themselves. They don't want to see themselves as being anything but perfect. And because it's a challenge to accept yourself. You want to be harsh on yourself. You want to be harsh on others. You want to be judgmental. And why? Like, that's the thing right there, to start questioning yourself. Why? Why do I need to be judgmental towards somebody? Why do I need to have a good and a bad guy? Those are all things to keep asking yourself when you want change. You can create change. You can create healthy dynamics. You don't have to play games. You can become a healthy person. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. It doesn't matter what they tell you to hold you back. It doesn't matter how many toxic relationships that you're involved in. You can make big changes. But you are the change. You are the catalyst. You are the one who has to recognize what's going wrong and what do I want it to change into. What do I want for my relationships? And not play games, not try and, well, if I do this, and they'll probably do that. If I do this, and they'll say that. If I say this, and they'll say that, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. Why are you trying to worry about what somebody else is going to do or say? It doesn't matter. What you need to worry about is what you feel, not what, and to play games to try and get what you want from somebody by doing or saying the right thing. That's toxic. That's playing games. That's not a healthy relationship. So when your relationships aren't healthy and you have somebody who is like, angry at you because they don't like you, way you manipulate or something, you got to see. And the sad thing is that you think, oh, well, I'm not a manipulator. I wouldn't do that. I'm not manipulating people. But you don't realize that you are, because you live in fear and you're trying to control your environment and you don't know how. You're just trying to do it like you did when you were a child, but you're no longer a child. Now you're a grown-up, and now it's time for you to step back and see what is, this is the tactics I used before I had grown up. Now I'm ready to be a grown-up. I'm ready to figure out, how can I be in control of what I want by my own actions. When a big one is setting boundaries for yourself. If you don't like what somebody is doing or saying, you don't sit there and try and think of like, how can I maneuver around? And I used to do this shit all the fucking time. I used to think, well, if I could get them to see it, then they will see it. They will understand. You can't get people to understand what they can't understand. All you can do is make them feel like you're trying to make them see something, do something, act a certain way that they don't want to do. So you've got a toxic manipulation happening. They want it to just be them, and you want them to do a certain thing so you can be comfortable. So you got to start recognizing, I can't go through someone else to be comfortable. I can't control someone else so I can feel good. I have to figure out like all these different things. And there's so much about fear. If you fear death, if you fear something's going to happen to you, then you got to go more in to understand more about your soul, about what this place is. There's nothing to fear. It blows my mind is how many people call themselves Christians, but then they seem to fear death. Like, if you really are a Christian and you really are all about, your soul and this, God's time and God's world and heavens and all that stuff, then why wouldn't you be eager to get there? Why wouldn't you be the first sign of sickness? Be like, hell yeah, I'm about to go home, bitches. You know, but that's not the attitude, is it? And so many people, you know, who I think it's a sign too when you see how many people, you know, their choice to get out of this place is to do themselves in. Well, if it was a horrible place to go, why would you do yourself? And why would you go to a worse place? Your soul knows. Your soul knows you're going home. Your soul knows where home is. Your soul knows. There's nothing, you know, like don't think like the people who have done themselves in that they are, you know, some could be in the same kind of place as my dad was, which I don't know what else to call it except for, what is that place they called it in church? It was a place between heaven and hell. What was that place called? Paradigm keeps coming into my head, so it's just some sort of it's like a center. It's like a place in between. It's like a place where the vibration can be lower, where you have to process your life and stuff before you can go into general population. It's like an isolation center. And so, you know, you could do yourself in and be stuck there for a while and think that you're punished for it. But it's for you to process your pain, process the whole experience. And it's a process of releasing, because if somebody does themselves in, they're too caught up in the story. They're, you know, and they're forgetting. So it's not like they're doing something bad. They're just, it's part of their soul. Like I said before, a lot of people who do themselves in, it has been something that they choose when things get hard, when they're incarnated. When things are hard, they're just like, I just need out. And then when they get over there, they're always disappointed with themselves. Like, oh, can't believe I did that again. I can't believe I keep fucking doing that. It's the soul's own mismanagement of themselves that they get angry about, you know, of why they couldn't have done better. Why couldn't they see? Why didn't they hear themselves? Why did they get too caught up? Why, you know, and those are all things that only you know. You know it on the inside. So that is why you go, it's your experience. That's why nobody else should be interfering. Nobody else should be, you can't suffer someone else's consequences. You know, you have to live your own rules, your own pattern, your own stuff, so that it's your consequences. Trying to get somebody else to tell you what to do is putting that off on them, trying to suck them into your story. They tell you what to do, then their consequences, then you blame them for your consequences. So it doesn't work. You will have to go and make your own choices. You can ask a lot of people, well, what do you think? What do you think? What should I do? What should I do? But don't be thinking like I'm going to do what they think I should do. No, be thinking I want a lot of different perspectives. Then once I've gathered all the perspectives, I'm going to take them and I'm going to go into a point of reflection. Hold on just a second. Let me just finish. I'm going to go into a point of reflection so that I can consider all views, so I can talk to my own self and see, you know, because there is a lot of times of confusion. There is a lot of times when you feel like you're at a fork in the road and you don't know which way to go. I know that either way you go is the right way. There isn't the big dilemma like we think there is. And either way you go is going to be the same lessons. It's this, you know, so it doesn't matter which way you go. Like we sit here and stress and stress and stress. Oh, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? And it's like, it's going to go how it's going to go. You don't have to stress as much as what you think. And so, you know, the plan's in motion. You've been birthed. So you're already on the ride. It's already going. And so, anyways, still is really distracting me too. Let me think if there was some other thing I wanted to say. But if you haven't watched that coma one, it's just like a 4-minute video. I thought it was really interesting because what she's saying, like that's the world that I see. That's the world that I interact in all the time. That is, you know, there's so much time, you know, Like when things are going weird, like when they're heating up the microwave, or just all the weird shit that they do over here that is probably making people sick, is because they even did a fake evacuation tsunami thing in Houston, just like they did in Hawaii, where they said that the missile was coming and they had 10 minutes to live. They did something like that in Houston. And then somebody sent me a message and said they came back and said that was an error. They didn't mean to send that out. I was like, oh, well, I wonder how many ER visits for heart attacks and how much alcohol sales went up in that time. Because, you know, that's what they're checking. That's what they're looking at. You know, where is society? You know, have we beat them down yet? They run into the store to get some alcohol? Are they having heart attacks and strokes and anxiety attacks? Like, I've only been talking an hour. I'll probably just come back and talk some more. This is how my whole fucking night has been. Just this non-stop interruption. Her crying, having to get up and go out. Oh my God, this night has been. Now is the next day. So I'll probably just go ahead and put this one on, and then I'll just come back and do some more, talk about some more stuff. But and if it even can go on, this will go on faster too because it's smaller. So I'll go ahead and get it downloaded, see what's up with her, and then I will come back and talk some more. I'm going to go back and see more, look some more about what's going on and see if I see more things happening. But it's definitely, I think this weekend's going to be intense. So anyways, I will talk to you in a bit.